Hi guys, it's been a couple weeks, but I have some information I'd like to share with you here as we, wind down for this week. Certainly, I don't expect you to be watching this over the weekend. So, should we start out the new week? Three areas to chat about. One, Center for Equal Access. Two, IT request forms and work order submissions in general. Just want you to know, remind you perhaps of where those things live if students come in needing help with them. And then lastly, a student question that came to me today that I'm thinking about how you might respond to it. So first up, Center for Equal Access. Center for Equal Access is most accurate, most up-to-date information is on css.edu/access. This center removes barriers that students experience in the academic environment or home environment if they live on campus due to a medical condition or disability. This runs quite the range. The Americans with Disability Act defines disability very broadly. And so students who have been diagnosed with ADHD, depression, anxiety, and have interaction between that diagnosis and their school environment qualify. So we're not talking only students in wheelchairs, although yes, students in wheelchairs, but we're talking about cognitive, emotional, physical, health conditions where we can remove barriers for students. So this is not an advantage. This is removing a barrier to equal access to the course, to the degree. And a good example of this would be for students who are low hearing, having live captions, they can hear their professor. Nobody thinks that's an advantage, right? And so that's the philosophy our center is under. So we believe that we assist students with removing environmental barriers, that they themselves are not a barrier or a nuisance, but that the environment is. And so that falls under the social model of disability. Any student who comes in who is talking about maybe their ADHD is making it hard to focus study, it's worth asking, have you registered with the Center for Equal Access? Have you looked into their services? And pull up this website. This isn't something to be ashamed of. Disability is not a dirty word. I'm really looking to student leaders to normalize a little bit disability. Yes, I have a disability. I have a diagnosis and it impacts a part of my life. School, it's impacting my studying capabilities, my performance capabilities. You would qualify for our center. So the first step to get registered is to fill out this new student accommodation request form. And this website, if you want to go on, this is a fabulous video. There's all sorts of fantastic information about all sorts of accommodations that we offer or have offered to remove barriers. This new student accommodation form is not on the traditional student record. This collects medical information that is put into our separate software and allows us to gather information about the medical side of the experience in order to then meet with the student, talk about how this medical how their experiences are really affecting their learning and living on campus. And then what we do is we look at accommodations and putting in tools and resources to remove those barriers. So a common one would be taking an exam in our testing center for students who, for example, have challenges with attention and then easily distracted. So we have a different space to proctor exams if they choose, if they want. That's a good example of an accommodation that that's pretty commonly used in our center. So students fill out for sure the starred things, their diagnosis, how they think, how they understand their diagnosis. It's a long form because we do not require medical documentation up front, and we may not even require medical documentation depending on what the request is. And then once they hit submit, then we get an alert in Accommodate that somebody has submitted a form. We send out a request to meet with them and talk more about this form. and what they put. So this form, it doesn't have to be perfect. They can adjust it later on after you've met with the person who will have you elaborate on things. So please don't let the form be a barrier for students. If you're working with somebody who's maybe like feeling overwhelmed by the form. More information on the Center for Equal Access, if a student is already registered or is just looking for more general information under Student Services. Sorry, back up, I click Navigate, then Student Services, Center for Equal Access. In here we have a link to accommodate. If students want to look at additional accommodations, they can go into here and click supplemental. We also have some resources related to our rules, our policies, etc. So that's the Center for Equal Access, or at least as much as you need to know at this point. The next area was tickets, submitting tickets. This is the facilities work order ticket. And this is the IT ticket system. And so on my CSS, that lovely search bar, in case you're not aware, holds the keys, right, to everything. So work order request here, that is a facilities work order. IT service catalog, this here, this is the IT ticket one. So for IT, which I think is going to be the more common one, students, click students, obviously. I need help. And then what they do is answer a few questions, including what computer, yours or your personal, where's the internet, where are you, and then what's going on that you need assistance with. And then that gets logged into IT and they will respond back. So those are the two things I wanted to mention on that front. So lastly, my scenario. I was contacted by my colleagues in counseling, and they said that they've had some students who are overstudying, maybe never not studying. If they're able to be studying, they're studying. And really, that made me wonder what you might say to a student who came to you and said, I need help studying less, or I need some different strategies to study smarter. What would you say to them? What do you say to yourself? Would you have, what would you say to them? What would be your advice? So I have some thoughts, but we'll start there. What is your thought? What would you say? And I'll make a sheet and we'll dive into that scenario. So thank you all so much for your help. And what a success Candy Salad was. We will do something similar for finals. You're crushing it. So proud. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope that this position continues to give you knowledge, joy, and experience for now and then for your future endeavors. Thank you.